Squares and square roots. Now when you multiply a number by itself, you're said to be squaring it. So for example 3 multiplied by 3, where you say it's squaring it, it's because you end up with a 3 by 3 square. This is also written as 3 with a little 2 above it. That's the mathematical symbol for squaring it. And you can see from the square there's 9 little squares. 3 times 3 is 9. Now when we square a whole number, we get a special number we call a square number. So 9 is 3 squared, it's a square number. So for the first example, we're going to find the first 12 square numbers, and these are important numbers that you have to be able to see and recognise in a list. So first square number, 1 squared, is 1 times 1, which is just 1. Second square number, 2 squared, that's 2 times 2, which is just 4. Following on from that, 3 squared, 3 times 3 we just looked at was 9. 4 squared, 4 times 4 is 16. 5 squared, 5 times 5 is 25. 6 squared is 36. 7 squared is 49. 8 squared is 64. 9 squared is 81. 10 squared is 100. 11 squared is 121. And finally 12 squared is 144. Now as I say, these numbers 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, 100, 121 and 144 are the first 12 square numbers, and you need to be able to recognise them as square numbers. Common question in the exam is they'll give you a list of numbers and they'll say pick out a squared number. Now, the square root of a number is the number that when you square gives you that number. And the square root of 64 means what number multiplied by itself is 64? Well, just so you know, on the last page it was 8. Now, usually write this with a special symbol, which is kind of like a zigzag. It means square root, and the square root of 64, what number multiplied by itself gives you 64, is 8. So for example, what is the square root of 49? We looked on it a couple of pages ago. What number multiplied by itself gives you 49? Well, it's 7. 7 squared is 49, so the square root of 49 is 7. We can also use a calculator to find squares and square roots, and to square a number we press the button that looks like this. It's an X with a 2 above it. It means your number squared. Similarly, to find the square root of a number, you press the square root button, which usually looks like the square root symbol. Now for these next two examples I'm going to use Microsoft's calculator, which isn't great. It doesn't have the similar symbols that your calculator should have. But what is 6.1 squared? So on your calculator, 6.1, you can see my squared button is down the bottom here, the bottom middle purple one, squared. So 6.1 squared is 37.21. An example of square rooting. What is the square root of 33? I'm actually going to switch back to the standard calculator so you can see this square root button is actually this top right blue button, square root, SQRT, on a calculator will look like the symbol. So square root of 33, type it in, square root is this. Now, we've not looked at rounding yet, we're going to look at that in topic 4. So for the time being, I'm just going to write the first digit after the decimal point. So the square root of 33 is 5.7.